Saw parties
It's
in
March Madness Day.
Bardos. It's March Madness Day. Oh my gosh. This needs to be a
Go.
national holiday, right? Like, or
There's
something.
nothing like these first 2 days of the tournament. There's nothing like it. It's absolutely
Spinning.
the best.
This is why it needs to be a national holiday. I'm going to spit out some fun facts for you real quick. 37% of the workforce, American workforce, is willing to call in sick or just skip work altogether to watch the tournament. 6 hours is the average amount spent by the average worker watching, during work, watching March Madness, and $16.3 billion in corporate losses due to unproductive workers is the average
So
during the
cancel it
tournament.
up.
Cancel it up. We need to cancel. We're at least for this first round.
2 days.
Right?
This Thursday,
when,
Friday is the main deal. Yeah, and that we're obviously going to talk about there in this amazing March Madness morning, as well as the crazy NFL from the last 2 days. But before we get to that, let's listen to some fun things from our boy Jack Donovan.
Oh, let's get it.
Let's get it.
Do we even say what episode it is? It's the Bobby Mitchell episode.
You mean the Tim Wakefield episode?
No, Bobby Mitchell. Come on, dude.
The Chris Sale pre-Red Sox episode for sure. The reason.
Yeah, but do we even want to say that though? Because that means White Sox Chris Sale. And screw the White Sox.
But the only reason Chris Sale couldn't wear 49 with the Red Sox is because it's retired by pitcher Tim Wakefield, absolute G of a pitcher from the early 2000s.
Gross. I'd rather take the Chicago Cubs Jake Arrieta, number 49.
Shut up.
World Series champ, dude. Come on.
Jake Midietta, you mean?
Well, Spinny, what do you want to start this 49th episode off talking about?
Let's talk about the NFL. Or should we get serious first? Let's get serious first so we can have a little fun after that. I just wanted to talk for 2 minutes about the ridiculousness of Ole Miss hiring Chris Beard. If you haven't read the police report on the Chris Beard domestic assault situation, read it up. It's pretty, it's pretty sketchy. That some strangulation going on, some throwing his fiance off the bed onto the floor to the point where she can't know where she's at going on. I also understand that she recanted, quote unquote, these things, but if you know anything about domestic violence, which not saying I do, definitely not an expert, but from reading into what a lot of experts say, it's pretty common for recants later on, especially when you stay together with the person, even though the activities definitely happened. So, and that's obviously reasonable. You love somebody, you have a lot of things going on with them, and you think you can change them or they can be forgiven or whatever. And I no hate towards her. What I'm saying is I think it actually happened. And I am a little bit dumbfounded, honestly, by Ole Miss hiring him instantly like this after Texas fired him. And I think it's a classic sports washing of somebody. Then by sports washing, I mean diminishing their crime because they're good at what they do. And in this case, we're not even talking about an athlete. We're talking about a coach. So in my opinion, shame on Ole Miss. I'm all for people getting second chances. I honestly am. I just don't think it should be instantly, especially for something like this. I think he should have had to be out of the sport and out of his job for a period of time. So I'm just disappointed by this situation, and I wanted to give it some airtime because nobody's talking about it, honestly. So
Yeah, that's just, I mean, how many times do we see this with sports? Like you said, it's usually the athlete that the story gets swept under the rug. Now we see it with the coach. And we see this all the time. It's very disappointing. I don't know how else to put it. It's you just hate to see it. And like you said, on 4 second chances, maybe wait a couple months. Like, come on. It was I mean, there's still teams playing. We started the national tournament today and you're already making this decision, you're already hiring him. I
he
don't
should
know.
have been
It's
out
definitely
for
too
next
premature.
season, all of next season,
Yes.
absolutely minimum. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that he I just we're never gonna get behavior in athletics to change if we're instantly giving these guys second chances when they haven't proved they deserve it yet. So, yeah, bad call by Old Miss, good call by Texas. Yeah, I'm just disappointed. Just disappointed. So now we can move
Well,
on and yeah.
I'm gonna bring up the John Morant thing now. Formally announced that he suspended 8 games. They're including the 5 games he already sat out. So 3 more, which means he's allowed to return on Monday versus the Dallas Mavericks. Spinny is. I think this is a fair enough punishment given that it came out. They did their investigation. It said it wasn't his gun. He didn't even have possession of it for more than an hour. He basically just took the video with it, and then that's all he had the gun for. Obviously, it's a terrible mistake. He made a mistake, but does he deserve more than 8 games? What do you think?
No, I again, this is not harming another human. Does it have potential to get someone else harmed? For sure. Do we have a gun violence problem in this country that shouldn't be taken lightly? Of course we do. Should Jaw, as a representative and an unbelievable, def, I'm not just going to say unbelievable, the most popular American basketball player right now, that's not that's under 30 years old. The most popular American basketball player under 30 years old right now. Definitely has a ton of influence on kids. Has his own signature Nike shoe. That's like a 1 in 5, 6 guys in the league that get that. So absolutely, he should have been more responsible and should be better. At the same time, nobody got hurt in the situation. He did all the right things. The Grizzlies suspended him right away. He went into like a rehab counseling type facility right away. Um, whether you believe it's true or not, all the things he said have been right so far in this situation, and nobody got hurt, and he didn't have it on the team plane or in any team facility.
Yep.
So, given all those things, I do think it was a fair punishment, and he might not even be back by Monday because while in Florida, he was not doing basketball activities, so it might take a few days here to ramp him back up to the ability to play. So, yeah, I thought it was lighter than what I thought he was going to get, but I definitely think, given all the circumstances, it was probably the right call.
Yep. We're in the same boat then. Now we can jump to NFL free agency. I'm gonna throw out some trades at you first here, Spinny. That's happened these last couple days. One being Darren Waller to the Giants for a third round pick, 2023 third round pick. Stephon Gilmore to the Cowboys for a fifth round pick, and Jalen Ramsey to the Dolphins for a third round pick plus Hunter Long, who's a tight end. Uh, which of these trades is a win? I mean, do you like them all for these or for these teams, or what are your thoughts on these deals?
The Waller trade makes sense for the Giants. A third round pick's probably what he's worth. I don't really get it for the Raiders personally. Like, you're trying to win. That's what the Jimmy G signing was. That's what the
Yeah, you
Jacoby
just get rid
Myers
of another
signing
weapon.
was. So we're just getting rid of another weapon, which seems weird. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to fill out that atrocious defense that they have. That could be
And
something. But
also, it could be what were you telling me the other day? not on air about Josh McDaniels. Could be
Yeah,
about
I
that
mean,
relationship.
yeah, there is rumors that McDaniels was the one who let public Waller and Plum's wedding at the combine to a reporter, and they hadn't really told anybody about it, so they were kind of annoyed about that. McDaniels also, via Kelsey Plum's Twitter, was not invited to their wedding. That if you're a Twitter junkie, go on and just check out that exchange between Kelsey Plum and Schefter's tweets, and it's all a really funny situation. But I personally I don't get it. Second trade, Gilmore to the Cowboys, that makes sense. They really need a second corner. They got him for cheap. Do I think he's that great anymore? No, as a second corner, not bad. Jalen
Doesn't that
Ram,
doesn't that
but
make you upset though? Like as a Vikings fan, it's like we had to give a 5th round pick to get Stephon Gilmore. Like, yeah, like you
yeah,
said, he's
I
obviously
don't
taking a
know if
step
he's
back,
that
but
good. I mean, like, I don't
well,
know. I
fifth,
don't.
we're throwing a 5th round pick out
Yeah,
there. Like, how important is
definitely,
that? Like,
definitely worth a shot for a 5th round pick. And the
yeah,
Jalen Ramsey trade, that's the one that annoys me more.
that really
Like,
bugs me.
like I get it. A lot of teams, he has a big cap hit,
Right,
18 and 20 or 20 and 22. Do you have it
something
written
like
down?
that. I
But
don't.
both
Something like
are
that.
around 20 million, and he's corners usually don't have down years and then come back up, and he did definitely have a down year last year. So there's a little to be
And
worried given.
what's crazy though is he did have a down year. I'm not saying he didn't, but he was still the 3rd ranked PFF cornerback this year. 3rd.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, that's
So
that's that's interesting. And obviously the Rams had 75 million, 100 million injuries on their team, including on defense.
yeah,
So that could have been part of the play situation going on. But I like the Ramsey trade, especially for the Dolphins in the division that they're in. We're playing against Rodgers and Allen. And who's the other quarterback in that division, man? I'm spacing. Rodgers and Allen and Mac
Mac
Jones.
Jones
Yeah, so
and Tua.
yeah. So I like that play for them, given the high passing offenses they're going to see in their own division and the high passing offenses in the AFC. So if Ramsey is anything of even close to what he was, and we get Xavier Howard at the level that he has been at, like even if both those guys lose a little bit, those guys at 85% of their best, both of them, is still
Top.
probably a top 2-3 cornerback group
I was
in
just
the
going to
entire
ask you
league.
that.
So
What are
like
they?
I
You'd say
can't
they're
like
top 3
I mean, that's without going through every team, Like
on
I don't
paper.
have a
At least they're
list,
top 3.
but
Right.
in my head of the ones I can think of, yes.
Yeah, I think there's potential for him to bounce back now that at practice he's going to get all these practice reps against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, 2 of the best receivers in the game. So I think that should theoretically help him. I'm going to throw
What's
out a
next?
couple more trades. They haven't happened yet. Rumors though, the Aaron Rodgers situation. He said on Pat McAfee's show yesterday that it's essentially all but done. They're just working out the kinks of the deal. It's still on the Packers what they want in return for him. So that should be done any day now. He also made a wish list for the Jets. It involved tight end Mercedes Lewis, receivers Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, and OBJ. They already signed Lazard for him. They already signed Mercedes Lewis for him. You'd imagine they're going to go get Randall Cobb for dirt cheap.
Did they sign
Just
Mercedes Lewis?
they did.
Oh
Uh,
gosh, okay.
so isn't it? It's just funny to me that he just instantly has a wish list, a demand list, and they're just checking the boxes right away. They're like, "Yep, sign him up,
Yeah, I
sign me
mean,
up."
34th, 35th, 37th ranked quarterbacks on PFF last year, and they went 8 and 9. If
They were
if
there.
the
They were
if the
close.
Jets even had mediocre QB play last year, they would have been in the playoffs. Their defense is amazing. Lazard is actually a good signing. I think he's a good receiver, especially as a 2, especially given Rodgers' connection with him. I like that signing. The other ones, meh, but Garrett
Especially if
Wilson and
OBJ
Allen.
is asking for 20 mil. It's like you
Yeah.
really want
If
to
they
pay
can
him
get
that much.
OBJ on the cheap too, I mean, I'm down. I would be down for that. I just don't think that that's what he's going to want. But the Jets are desperate and Rodgers knows it. And last thing I got to say is Holy crap! I hope if my friends ever get a lit ass job, they ride me along and get me a
Like Rogers,
yeah. Rogers is a goat for that. Goat friend for that.
good friend. Yep.
Yeah, awesome. Mercedes Lewis just getting a couple extra mil in the bank before he goes into the retirement home.
Okay, how about this one? Austin Eckler requested a trade yesterday or 2 days ago. The Chargers gave him permission to talk to other teams.
Yeah,
What do you think about this situation? I mean, I never looked into what he was asking, but it seems crazy to me that a team like the Chargers that needs these weapons. He's one of the few weapons that they have that actually stays healthy and plays. Their receivers obviously never, sometimes, but he's on the field more than
and
Keenan
Williams and
Allen and
Allen
Mike
for sure.
Williams. That's for
For
sure.
sure.
And
Everyone's injury
so,
prone on the blanket Chargers, but yeah, Eckler's a huge part of their offense. Justin Herbert's dump it off to him, God. So I'm just a little bit surprised. But if you wanted too much money, like you said, running backs have a shelf life. He's played a lot, got a lot of carries, a lot of catches, a lot of touches, a lot of hits going on. So I get, if he's wanting that Dalvin Cook money, like I understand, you can go out there and we'll talk about this later, but Miles Sanders just signed for 4 years, 25 mil, essentially 6.5 a year for a running back that is, at
who just
least
had 1,200
85.
yards?
Yeah, he's at least 85, 90% of everything Austin Eckler is. So that's, I think a team will trade for him, pay him a lot of money. Team like the Bears, question mark, maybe, that still have a lot of cap room even after the Edmonds signing. So I could see something like that going on. But yeah, I get it. You can't overpay for running backs and be good in the NFL. It's just not
What
not smart given the salary cap and how many good running backs there are.
right off the top of your head, which team would you like to see make a trade for Austin Eckler?
Like, uh,
Yeah, which team do you like? Which team do you think it'd be fun to see Austin Eckler on? I think I
my
obviously
Viking. Go ahead.
immediately go to like the Vikings maybe since we don't have Cook, the Bills, any RB hungry team that's already good would instantly come to mind to me.
Yeah, Bills comes to mind to me. Not Vikings fan aside, Bears comes to mind for me. I think that'd be really fun with
Oof,
him and Fields and just all the stuff you could
I
do
would
with
hate
that,
that.
especially with their receiving core. I think that could be really, really good. Uh, and honestly, even I don't know. There's a ton of teams that could use running back receiver help. Like the Giants got Saquon. Never mind, I forgot about that. Who am I
What about
missing?
a
I feel like,
what about a team that is potentially getting their franchise QB? Maybe a team like the Panthers going to get him.
yeah, I could see teams like that are trying to get a quarterback. Um, Not the Panthers because they're just trying to shed money and get rid of all their crap. But even a team like Houston, that if we're taking Bryce Young and we're trying to get him some support on our crappy team, dump off Nation, Austin Eckler for a few years just to get him through it, that could be a move as well.
Last trade I'm going to throw out, and then you can throw out some signings that happened. The Bears traded the number one pick. I don't think we talked about this on the pod yet. Traded it to the Panthers, obviously, for absolute haul. What was it in total? 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and DJ Moore, I believe, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow, this is an absolute win for the Bears. But I mean, what are you going to do? You have to obviously give up a haul to move up 8 spots all the way to the first pick from the Panthers' perspective, too. Little surprising me that they included DJ Moore, just given the fact that if you're drafting a franchise QB, don't you want immediate weapons around him? And he's obviously their best receiver. I mean, it's probably a top 20 receiver in the game, honestly. He's
Yeah.
close.
Reports were Ryan Poles was not at all interested in even talking unless DJ Moore was the first thing on the trade. That was the number one thing he wanted. So that was the talk from Bears media, is that Poles DJ Moore was a must-have in that trade. Bears destroyed that trade. The only way they didn't is if the Panthers get a Hall of Fame quarterback with their pick, which there might be
Which
one.
we won't know for how many years,
Yeah, there might be one of those 4 guys, maybe. So I love it for the Bears also in this aspect. It gives them huge flexibility. They got Justin Fields, a bunch of weapons. Now we get to see, like, can he actually pass? Can we improve in that? Do we have our guy here? Personally, I think it's more like a 70-30 that Fields is going to be at least a Pro Bowler, but who knows? There's definitely still bust potential. Like, his passing ability is not developed to the point where you want it to be. But if Fields turns out to be bad, then you have your first next year, which if Fields is bad, you're going to be bad. So that's probably
Yep.
a top 10 pick. Plus Carolina, a team with a crappy defense who's traded away all
That's a
their
lock to be a top
offensive
10 pick.
weapons. That's a top lock to be a top 10 pick, which you also
Yeah.
have. So on top of that, you have two probably high picks. And if you don't get the one pick, like the number one team, even in a year with Williams and May, is probably taking two top 10 picks for the number one overall pick. And you can probably include Fields in that. Fields and two top 10 picks to trade up and get you Caleb Williams. And now you have, Williams or May, two of the best prospects we've seen in 5 years. And you have a shot at one of those two guys, a really, really good shot. So it just gives you so much flexibility to go out and get your guy at quarterback or support the guy if Justin Fields is the guy. Hate it in our division, but that was an unbelievably good trade by Chicago.
Absolutely. I'm with you there. All right, what kind of signings stood out to you?
Well, I'm going to start with some unsignings. Ezekiel Elliott cut by Dallas. We kind of saw that coming.
That was interesting.
You got a team for him you'd like to see? Buffalo came to mind right away for me.
Buffalo, yeah. He needs to go to a team that needs just that bell cow, short yardage type of guy. Buffalo definitely needs someone to just give him 2-3 yards here and there.
Yeah,
be a red zone threat.
He can still score touchdowns. I mean, super effective short yardage.
Absolutely.
We saw that top 20 fantasy player, even given his small role last year. So I think we could still see a lot of Zeke in a specified role. Baker Mayfield.
Before you shout out, it's Baker. Whatever you do in the fantasy football season next year, make sure you get Tony Pollard on your team because, oh my gosh, this man's about to be a freak.
Yeah, before we get to Baker again, another guy I think is going to be a freak, Miles Sanders. 4 years, $25 million with Carolina. Obviously, he's getting a crap ton of touches. They're going to feed him. Feed. And hot take, but if I'm Carolina, I'm not trading all that to trade up for a guy. The best prospect in this draft is Bryce Young, right? But there's huge injury and size concerns. If I'm Carolina, I'm not trading all that stuff up for a guy who I think might be out of the league in 5 years, just given his build. I think Carolina traded this pickup for Anthony Richardson. I think Frank Reich, knowing him, he loves that type of guy.
Are you serious?
I really am serious. I think
that's going to be
money
terrible.
Right now, it would be Anthony Richardson.
That's ridiculous
honestly.
To me. Why? We've seen the game tape. I don't care how athletic this man is. Yes, he has amazing potential. He deserves to be a top 10 pick. I'm not saying he shouldn't. But the number one pick over way safer bets in Bryce
Who has
Young
the most upside, though?
He strictly based off athleticism. Him.
Strictly based off everything. Who has the most upside?
Man, I don't think it's him. If we're basing off of everything, because this man can't throw a football.
Here's my thing with the other ones. Ohio State quarterbacks are never good in the NFL. We haven't seen
true.
one.
They haven't been.
Haven't seen one. Bryce Young, if he can stay healthy, I think he will be the best quarterback. I just literally have serious Tua Tagovailoa 5 concerns with Bryce Young as far as injury and ability to take NFL hits. And Levis is the same completion issues as Richardson.
Levis is the same as Richardson,
but it's the same. And Richardson.
I'm taking Richardson over Levis.
Yeah,
I'm taking him over Levis. Yeah.
So I just think we're giving up that much and moving up that far. I don't know. It just seems like Frank Reich to take Anthony Richardson. It's very Frank Reich.
I don't know. I feel like it's just too much of a gamble. You already traded your first next year to the Bears. Like you're screwed. Like you're done.
Yeah, if he's bad, you're screwed. 100%.
Yeah.
But you can't draft out of fear. So if Richardson's their guy, it's got to be their guy.
It gives them making that trade. It definitely gives them more time now to figure out who their guy is and make the decision they want.
And I think Frank Reich has a pretty long leash there in Carolina, so I think they're definitely giving it
you would hope so.
A few years. Yeah, okay, so Sanders, Pollard both got the target in fantasy. Baker Mayfield finally back to it after 75 diversions. 1 year's $4 million guaranteed, can be up to
What is this?
$8.5 million with incentives.
What is this? His fourth team in one calendar year?
Yeah, not good. Probably going to be a loser there for Tampa, but we still have Evans and Godwin. So Tampa definitely still is got some talented receivers.
You got
Uh,
Rashad White. You showed
yeah,
some promise.
they'll probably pick up another running back along the way. But yeah, I think Tampa, I think it was an okay move. I think it was a classic mid Tampa move. But if it turns out to be bad, they end up having a top pick, probably be
It's
worth it.
it's 1 year. It's a
And you
1 year
can't
deal.
start Kyle Trask. I'm
Right.
sorry,
Exactly.
but you
It's a
can't
one.
start
It's
Kyle
fine.
Trask. So
It's 1 year for like 8 mil. It's fine.
Yep, same
What
1
about
year 8 mil. Jacoby Brissett with the Washington Commanders. That's probably a backup move in my opinion. Another couple of running backs. This really surprised me given production from last year. David Montgomery, 3 years, 18 mil with the Lions. But former Lion running back Jamal Williams signed with the New Orleans Saints for 3 years, 12 million. So
less, buddy?
you're getting him for 2 million less per year, 6 million less total. For a running back, I personally think is better and has less miles on it and less injury history.
Isn't Jamal only like 1 year older than David Montgomery too? Isn't it like he's like
I believe
27, I think,
so.
and I think
Yeah.
Montgomery's 26, something around that. That's crazy.
Jamal
That
Williams, 27. David Montgomery.
and that's a good signing, obviously, for the Saints, given how often Kamara gets hurt.
David Montgomery, 25, but his
Oh, he's
birthday
only
is June
25. Okay.
7th. So he will turn
Yep.
26 before the season starts.
Right.
But yeah, so that was a crazy one to me. What do you think of that?
That's. I mean, I'm happy for it because I'd rather see Montgomery than Jamal Williams, just given the fact that Jamal Williams just led the NFL in rushing touchdowns. So the fact that he is now out of my division, I'm happy in that regard. But like I was saying, this is a great sign for the Saints. I mean, you go out there and get a guy that at least as a runner will give you production. He doesn't give you much out of the receiving area, but that's why you have Alvin Kamara, right? This should
Yeah.
help take the load off Alvin Kamara's shoulders, which, in theory, should help him not get injured as often, which I think that's the ultimate goal here with this type of deal with Jamal Williams.
Yeah, that makes sense. Last one
What
I
about
got
the
is
other?
just
What about the other NFC South QB, Derek Carr,
Derek Carr.
to the Saints? What do you think about that one?
It's okay. Again, Saints, just be bad for a year. Take your crap, get rid of all your void years on your contracts, and they have 50 million in dead cap this year. You're not winning a
50
Super
mil.
Bowl like that. I'm sorry, but just figure it out. Like again,
Hey, they
Saints
want to win
fans are
8 or
going to be
9
hating
games
on
every
me.
year, man.
Saints fans are going to be hating like, you don't know how the cap works, blah, blah, blah. I know how the cap works. I know what they do. I know what they've been doing. And eventually, you're going to have to take your crap. And when you don't have a legitimate chance to win the Super Bowl, it's like, why? But they're going for it again. They have a real shot. They're probably the favorite to win their division. So good for them. Good for them on making the playoffs.
Yeah, I guess.
Juju Smith-Schuster and Jacoby Myers signing identical 3 years, $33 million contracts. Myers goes to the Raiders, Juju back to the Patriots. This one made absolutely no sense for me. How about you?
Okay, well, I'm assuming you mean from the Patriots' perspective, because the Raiders' perspective makes complete sense. Let's go get another guy to put alongside Devonta Adams and help free him up a little bit. This is a great move for them. But yeah, the Patriots, what the hell are y'all doing? What are y'all doing?
What's the Clemson receiver's name that Raiders have? He'll be back this year, the slot receiver.
Hunter Renfrow.
Hunter Renfrow also will be back for them. But yeah, that made sense for the Raiders. I just don't get wanting to give Juju Smith-Schuster the same contract that Jacoby Myers wanted or signed. God, that makes literally zero sense to me.
He's been your best receiver for these last 3 years, and
He's
you
better
refuse.
than
You refuse.
Juju.
Yeah, you refuse
Are
to
we
give him the
watching the
money.
games?
This is a team that has no playmakers, and they let their only playmaker leave to only sign a guy like you said, who's worse for the same exact deal. Makes
Maybe it's
no
just
sense.
Bill couldn't get over him throwing a touchdown to Chandler Jones, so he had to go join the guy that he Bill couldn't get over it. That's
It's
all I
getting
could
to
see
that.
in his mind.
It's getting to that point where that's the only thing that makes sense. It's funny because Ian Rappaport tweeted the Juju signing or whatever, and
Yep.
Jacoby Myers quote tweeted and said "Cold World, LOL."
Literally. Literally.
So
Um,
he ain't happy.
no. You got any more signings for us, Bus? That was the end of my list.
Um, we don't really need to dive into these guys, but I did think some noticeable signings happened right when free agency started. Deron Payne stayed with Washington. Second highest deal ever for a D tackle behind Aaron Donald. 4 years, $90 million, 60 mil guaranteed.
Overpay
Another
question mark?
maybe
Are
a
they
little
gonna
bit,
regret that one?
maybe a
Or is
little
he
bit.
good? Is he good? Is he gonna be good enough
He's
throughout the whole contract?
he is very good. Still might be a slight overpay. That
Okay.
might be a slight overpay. He's a Bama boy, so it's tough for me to say that.
I know.
Tremaine Edmonds. This sucks because he's with the Bears now. I got to see him torching or sacking the crap out of Kirk Cousins twice a year now. Sweet.
You
4 years,
imagine
72
Kirk
mil.
Cousins giraffe ass trying to run away. I can just see it now, just like uh, uh, I can just see it. I can see it already.
Sacked by Edmonds.
Yep.
Sweet. Awesome. Love seeing monsters come back into the division. This one, big time. This D line of the 49ers somehow got even freaking better. Javon Hargrave stole him from the Eagles. 4 years, $84 million. Obviously, the Eagles weren't trying to pay him that much money, but my gosh, this D line on the 49ers, Spinny. I mean, you got Bosa, him, and Armstead. Am I missing somebody? Maybe. I might be even.
Brock Purdy, Uncle Schnurdy, Aunt Gertie. It doesn't matter who's playing quarterback for the Niners when their roster is looking like that. That's all I gotta say. Absolutely ridiculous, and I don't understand how they can do it roster building from the Niners.
Yeah. Shanahan knows what he's doing. That's clear. That's evident.
Quarterback
Well,
coach.
yeah. I mean, unless you have any, you said you didn't have any more, so we might as
Nope.
well jump on to March Madness now. Like we said,
Let's
March
get
Madness Day is the
it.
best time of the year. Starting today, I'm so excited to watch hoops all day for 4 straight days now. It's going to be awesome. Let's start with the South region. Start at the top left of the bracket, work our way down. Spinny, what's an upset you like in this region? Maybe
Upset
not
in this.
necessarily, maybe not necessarily picking. You can tell me an upset you are picking if you want, but at least tell me an upset that could happen.
Upset I really like in the South region is actually Baylor. I worry about Baylor's ability to score the basketball in this tournament, and they play uh, University of California, Santa Barbara. Um, very efficient offensive team. Top six scorers on their team, scoring above 46% from the field. They are slow paced, so that plays a little bit into Baylor's style. But I just worry about Baylor's ability to keep up scoring with this team. Also, like in the next round, if assuming high seeds win, Creighton would be their matchup. Another absolutely dynamic and high-powered offensive team. I just worry about Baylor winning 2 games with their offensive struggles against 2 teams with this high-powered offenses as they drew.
Yeah, consistency has been the issue for Baylor, especially down the stretch here. I would be shocked if they make it out of that pod. Honestly, I'm leaning Creighton out of that pod. I could see Creighton losing to NC State. NC State has good guard play, as we know. Guard play is crucial in the tournament. But like you said, too dynamic of an offense there for Creighton. So I definitely see a Sweet 16 run here for Creighton. Another potential upset stood out to me. The pod right above it. I could see Charleston is a very elite offensive team. I'm picking San Diego State, given their just very aggressive man-to-man defense they have. So I'm rocking with San Diego State. I could see that upset. The one I am picking though is Furman over Virginia. I can't stand Virginia's style of basketball. As we've seen in these recent years, it just doesn't work in the tournament. That's why they tend to get upset and leave early. Obviously, they did win a national championship. But that was with a lot of offensive scores on their team. They had Kyle Guy, they had Ty Jerome, they had DeAndre Hunter. They had three dudes that could go get you a bucket plus the defense. So that was a good recipe for success. They don't have those offensive go-to guys anymore. So I'm taking Furman in that game.
Yeah. So we'll move on to upset or can't even talk today, Hardy's Nardos. We're gonna move on to sleepers now.
Sleeper.
Right? Sleeper. My sleeper is San Diego State. I actually think they could make a little bit of a run. Obviously, it's the 5-12, so they could also lose in the first round, but they've only lost 3 games since December 10th. So absolutely really amazing last 3 months of the season for the Aztecs. 7 of their 9 rotation players are juniors and seniors, so a lot of experience here from them, and they're deep with multiple guards that you can cycle through and still be good enough to compete with the guard play in the tournament. So I just like the options San Diego State has and the efficiency as well as the experience from them. Those 3 things in the tournament usually turn out well.
Yeah, playoff experience too. Like this is a team that's constantly in the tournament. So I'm sure a lot of those juniors and seniors have been in the tournament. They've been here before. They know what it's like. So that obviously helps as well. Obviously, that potential 5-1 matchup is the one to circle. Playing Alabama, that'd be the big one. If they're able to get through Alabama, they can 100% make the Final Four. So I'm with you there. I'm rocking with Baylor. We talked about their inconsistency, but if they're able to find a consistent structure of offensive game, I'd like Baylor to be a sleeper to win this region. Their guard play is there. They have that dynamic trio led by Keontae George. So I might pick Baylor, but for my winner of this region, Spinny, I gotta pick Alabama. I'm gonna stick with Alabama. They've just shown me too much throughout the season. They're too good everywhere. They could beat you on the inside, they could beat you on the outside. They have good defense, good offense. They have everything. Literally have everything.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the only thing that worries me is they get a little turnover happy. If they get in their little turnover mode, then they could get beat. But other than that, a ton of strengths for them. Should we move to the East?
Yep, let's move to the East. One last game I did want to shout out is the Missouri-Utah State game. If you like scoring, watch that game. Then both those teams can really, really shoot the 3 ball. So if you want to see some high-powered offenses, watch that Missouri-Utah State 7-10 matchup. East region, Spinny. This one is a headache to me. Trying to fill out my brackets, trying to determine which team's getting upset. I can see every team 3 through 6 losing in the first round. Not necessarily saying I'm picking that, but I could picture Kansas State going down. I can picture Tennessee going down. I can picture Duke and Kentucky both going down as well. What do you think?
Yeah, this is the hardest region for me. There's so many lose first round to make the Final Four teams in this region. But I'm going to start with my upset, and my upset is Marquette. I think that they've played a really good style so far this year where they run a fast-paced offense, and then they make you play slow on offense. Absolutely a really effective way to try and try and force the tempo of the game to be where you want it to be. I just worry about consistency from them. They've had so many up and down games this year where they just shoot absolutely horribly and they can't make it happen. Also, not a good defensive team, giving up over 70 points per game. They do score 80, so obviously a very good offensive team. I just think that they could get beat by a team like Michigan State or USC, 2 teams with more experience in the tournament, and a team like Michigan State, coached by Izzo, amazing, efficient offense, and I just see that giving Marquette some issues.
Yeah, so you have them losing in the round of 32 then, not?
Yeah, I don't think they're going to lose to Vermont, but I see a round of 32 loss coming for Marquette.
Yeah, I could see that. I did pick that in one of my brackets, Michigan State to upset them. Michigan State, very good 3-point shooting team, has been playing well as of late, so I could see that. The upset I am picking, though, is Kansas State. I think they're going to go down to Montana State here in the first round. This is more of lack of confidence in Kansas State than in belief of Montana State, to be honest. I think Kansas State's just played beyond their talent in my eyes. But incredible season nonetheless. I mean, this was a team picked to finish last place in the Big 12, and they're a 3 seed in the national tournament. So great season for them, but I think it's going to end short here with first round exit. I really do.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
Because
okay.
I think, like I was saying, I think at least one of those 3 to 6 seeds is losing, if not 2.
Of course, they have to.
Something's happening. Yeah,
Have
it's
to.
happening. And I hate to
And
say it, I'm rocking my gear right now. I hate to say it. I'm obviously picking Kentucky to win, but they can 100% lose to Providence. If you're looking to pick upsets, you don't have many picked yet, go ahead and pick Providence because that's a team that could 100% beat Kentucky. I promise you.
yeah, and Providence finally has an offense for once. Their defense is not as good as the classic like Chris
So
Dunn
dumb.
defenses we think about, but they finally have an offense. They can finally score and
You
really
know
be
why
able
they
to
have an
put it to
offense, right?
teams. Why?
Because their best player transferred from Kentucky.
That's another
Screw you,
thing.
Bryce Hopkins. I
A
hate
little
you.
Bryce Hopkins revenge game. Bryce
I
Hopkins
hate him.
revenge game. Um, honestly, Kentucky is my sleeper. I think that their offensive and
Same.
defensive rebounding, as well as Antonio Reeves, is the key for them, though, right? Like guard play. Like we know their forwards are good. We know the forwards are going to score. We know the rebounding is going to be good. It's just can our guards keep up with other guards in the tournament? And I think if Reeves is playing well, Kentucky can go as far as they want.
Just had that 35 point-ish game a couple games ago. Yeah, Reeves can really shoot the shit out of it. Case and Wallace, that's another one. He's kind of been battling injuries lately, so we obviously need our starting point guard to have any success. So if he's still hampered by injury or not hitting shots, then we're gonna lose. But yeah, I'm have Kentucky for that same reason. And like you said earlier with this Marquette thing, like if that was the potential Sweet 16 matchup, I can see Kentucky winning because they're not going to be able to stop Kentucky down low. Sheway will
No.
absolutely destroy
She was
Marquette.
having like 30 and 20 against them.
Yeah, he will absolutely cook them. So
Yeah.
it would probably be a high scoring game, obviously, but I don't know. They're a sleeper. Obviously, the other one would be Duke. I don't know how much of a sleeper you consider them because I feel like everyone's picking them to win this region, but they're a 5 seed. So technically, I guess they are a sleeper. I still think there's probably more national attention on Purdue and Marquette than Duke. So they're kind of under the radar in that regard. And also, I think them being a 5 seed, that is something to say too. They're pissed about that. I guarantee that little fire under them. They're like, wow, we couldn't even get a 4 seed. We're freaking ACC champs and we only get a 5 seed. Are you kidding me? So I'm sure they're probably pissed about that. I'll tell you what, man, that Oral Roberts team, they can freaking shoot. They can shoot. So if it's a slow, grinded out game, Duke will win. But if it's up tempo, Duke might be in trouble. But they're a sleeper for sure to go to the Final Four.
Yeah, I'm almost more scared about Oral Roberts than I am about Purdue for Duke. Honestly, it's funny. I think if you
Isn't
can
that
get a
crazy to
game,
say?
yeah. But if the shooting in the tournament, the shooting and guard play, and Oral Roberts can and put it in the basket, man. Zach
Second most
Edey,
3-pointers made per game in the
yeah.
country, Oral Roberts.
Zach Edey, I think if you can get a game plan to at least slow him down, the rest of Purdue does not scare me. And I worry about their guards taking too many shots, too many bad shots in the tournament that they shouldn't take. Region winner, I'm picking Duke. 100% taking Duke
So am
in
I.
my bracket on the sheet. I think we're going to see a Duke-Bama Final Four matchup.
Yeah, I'm picking Duke as well. So we got the same too so far. We got Bama versus Duke, both of us. I think also it needs to be said the Big Ten just constantly chokes in the tournament. It seems that
Yep.
Michigan State or Michigan are the only 2 teams that can ever make a run. It seems like.
Yep.
So I fully believe Purdue's getting upset at some point, whether it's in the second round of Memphis, whether it's in the Sweet 16 to Duke. And we've already talked about the bottom. We think the 3 seed K State's going to get bounced early. Marquette has potential to get bounced. A lot of the good teams are going to get bounced. I think this is Duke's region. I really do. They're playing well at the right time of the year. Well, let's jump to the other side of the bracket now, Midwest region.
Midwest region.
Before little halfway break here, Spin, I'm going to spit off some more March Madness fun facts for you.
Okay.
Some of these you might have heard. Some of them you might not have. Perfect bracket. What are the odds, you think, for a perfect bracket?
I don't. Are there odds?
One in 9.2 quintillion is the
Classic.
odds to perfect or accurately choose every
How
single
many?
game.
I want to know how many zeros that is.
Too many.
Yeah,
Too many.
too many.
Lowest ranked winner. What is it, Spinny? This one you better freaking know.
The winner of the whole tournament?
Yes.
8?
Yeah, who was it? Oh, come on. Spinny.
I want
Spinny.
to say North Carolina, but I don't think that's right.
Spinny.
Oh, it's Kentucky?
It's not in our lifetime, but Spinny.
Houston?
Your squad, brother.
Oh, really? That was the one?
Villanova,
1985?
1985 8 seed.
Raleigh
Lowest.
Massimino? I didn't know they were an 8 seed in that tournament. Wow,
They
that's
were.
tough.
Lowest seed to win.
I've watched that game, the Final Four against Georgetown game, lots of times. This is a hilarious one. How they stopped Patrick Ewing in that game. Something teams could use against Zach Edey in this tournament. Check it out.
Major facts. What is how many times do you think all 4 1 seeds have made the Final Four? How many times do you think that's happened in the tournament?
6.
Once.
Really?
2008 is the only year all 4 1 seeds have made the Final Four. That one was crazy to me.
That is crazy.
Another last one to throw out here. Shout out Brent Musburger, because in 1982 he was the first one to coin the term March Madness. So shout out Brent
Awesome.
Musburger.
Shout out
All
Brent
right.
Musburger for that coin and that awful name. Sorry, your parents sucked at naming you.
Hey, he has no control over his last.
Brent, though?
Yeah, okay, Brent.
Brent.
That's tough. That is
Come
tough.
on.
Musburger, he has no control over.
True, but like
That's
if your
his-
last name's
that's his family
Musburger,
name,
can
man.
you at least come up with a better first name than Brent? Come on. What are we doing, parents?
God.
All right. Going to the Midwest upset. Highest up another 2-seed upset. This is kind of my theme as we go here. I really or shoot, I'm sorry. I just screwed up my entire connection. That was for my next one. I'm sorry. This is a
I was gonna
1-seed
say.
upset. This is a 1-seed upset. Even better, and that is Houston. I think Houston will lose in the round of 32 to Iowa. I like Iowa's scoring ability and guard play again. And Houston, especially with a couple of nicked up players in their team, I don't know. They just scare me. They get in foul trouble a lot. They're not super deep, and free throw shooting late in the games. Like I don't know. Houston, I think Houston is going to get upset. I don't think they're going to lose to what? No, who do they play? What is the name of it? Northern Kentucky. I don't think they're losing to Northern Kentucky, but I think Iowa Auburn winner has a serious chance to beat them in the second round.
I can see that. Yeah, that definitely is going to obviously come down to Marcus Sasser's health. I don't know, man. I think a lot of people are thinking that. I feel like they might feel like they're doubted, which obviously helps them. And this is a team that's made at least the Elite Eight 2 years in a row. So these guys know how to win in the tournament too. So it is a little risky picking that, but I can definitely see that given Iowa's 3-point shooting ability. I'm not picking this, but I might as well shout it out then. I could also see Texas losing the second round to A&M or Penn State. Going to have a huge in-state rivalry with A&M. That's never good. You never want to play a rival in the tournament. And Penn State, same reason that I've been saying all this bracket talk so far. This team can shoot. I love teams that can shoot threes, man. If they have high-powered offensive shots are falling, teams that can shoot are dangerous in the tournament. Actual upsets I'm taking Drake over Miami. Miami's battling a lot of injuries right now, and I just don't trust them right now. 5-12 is obviously the most common upset there is, so I got to rock that one. I can also see Indiana falling to Kent State. I'm going to rock with Indiana. That's another upset to watch. So we might see both the 4 and 5 seed losing in the first round here in this region.
I like that one. My sleeper for this region is Indiana. Very complete team. They obviously have Jackson Davis, All-American big man, who's obviously great, and they also have Hood Shatino. I always mess up his last name, but
close enough.
But yeah, Jalen Hood. He as the Big Ten Freshman of the Year, has been absolutely balling out this year.
Yep.
Um, their other size in the front court, obviously a worry. Like if Jackson Davis gets in foul trouble, like they're in real trouble. So they gotta keep that balance. But a very complete team, full of scorers. Other worry about Indiana, though, obviously, is tournament experience. They don't have a ton of it, and a ton of deep success with it. But I just have loved the big games they've played this year, how they played against Purdue. Just the mentality and the style they play with is really fun, and I think could be effective in the tournament. So little more hesitation with this one, but I think Indiana as a sleeper is a good choice.
I like that one. Even though they could potentially get bounced in the first round, they're another team to me that just gives me the bounce the first round or Elite Eight vibes. I feel like there's a lot of those type of teams this year. My sleeper though are the two teams we already touched on, and that's Iowa and Penn State. They can get past Texas and Houston in the second round. They are legit threats to go to the Final Four. So watch out for those Big Ten teams. Even though I already said Big Ten teams tend to choke, but I feel like it's always the under the radar ones. Obviously, Michigan State and Michigan, when they usually tend to make these runs, they're lower seeds like this. So I could see those two as being sleepers to win the region. But who do you got actually winning this region, Spinny?
Texas. I love them. I'm going to cheer
We're the
for
same
them.
team.
Marcus Carr, baby.
Marcus Carr. I hate Texas though. I'm usually not a Texas
I'm not
guy.
a Texas guy either.
Like you said, Marcus Carr. I want to see him go off in this tournament. They have tons of guard play, ton of versatility at the guards. They have a bunch of juniors and seniors that are leading them, plus talented freshmen as well. You always like to see that combo. So, and obviously they're playing insanely well as of late too.
And now on to the West. My upset pick for the Westie is more injury based, and this is where the 2 seed comes in again. UCLA, obviously the Jalen Clark Achilles
Man,
injury.
you are not with the 2 seeds.
No, I'm not. Anti 2 seed here. Two seeds, a 3 seed, and a 1 seed are my upsets. But again, yeah, Jalen Clark injury is huge. I don't know if I trust Jack West Jr. or Tiger Campbell picking up that scoring. Those are the two guys we're going to look for to make up for that scoring drought, and I don't really trust them. Again, I don't think they're losing to Asheville. They'll probably beat Asheville, but either of the Boise State Northwestern winner, both more defensive teams. I think Northwestern's going to win that, and I think we might see Northwestern of Chicago in the Sweet 16.
Wouldn't that be insane?
Insane.
This team come before this year. I mean, they're probably pretty good last year. I guess I don't remember their record, but this has been a team that's been brutal throughout our lifetime.
In every sport, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. And my upset pick, though, I'm not picking this one. I could see Iona over UConn, just given the Rick Pitino factor. I thought you told me they haven't lost since they've lost one game since December or something ridiculous.
They haven't lost since January. Iona has not lost since January.
Yeah, so Iona's on a ridiculous run right now, and obviously an experienced coach who's won it all before. That could help you pull off the upset there. VCU over St. Mary's. I'm taking that one. Same exact reason as the Virginia one from earlier. St. Mary's is essentially the Virginia of the West Coast, for those that don't know. And I don't like that slow paced style of offense. Plus, VCU is going to be up in their grill all game with their full court press and their ferocious defense. So I like VCU pulling off that common 5-12 upset there. And also after last night's showing by Arizona State, they could beat TCU. I wasn't so sure about that, but man, that team can really, really shoot. Won 98-73 yesterday over Nevada.
Yeah, that's crazy. On to sleeper. UConn is my sleeper. Again, Bus and I have talked about this a lot. There's so many teams that could be in the sleeper and in the upset category. And I feel like UConn is one of these teams. If they win that first round game, they really have a shot to go far in this tournament. Offensive glass production is huge for them. Sonogo, obviously, still. That's another Perry Ellis guy. I feel like this guy's been in the damn college basketball for 7,500 years. Ball movement team, decent shooters pretty much everywhere. I just like the balance they show. But yeah, so again, I think they could make a run and end up, in the Elite Eight at least, or in the Sweet 16. I mean, I don't necessarily love them against Kansas, but I think that they could at least make a run that far.
Yeah, I like UConn as well. Obviously, it just comes down to beating Kansas. If they're able to get out of that first round game, I definitely can see them going to the Final Four. I really can. My sleeper pick though is Gonzaga. This is a team obviously with plenty of tournament experience. They're still led by their best player, Drew Timme, and say UCLA is able to get out of these first two rounds. That potential matchup there in Sweet 16, you would just imagine Gonzaga would be able to win that after UCLA lost their best interior defender. So Timme should be able to eat in that game. They still have guys like Julian Strother to help them out. So I like Gonzaga to make a run all the way to at least the Elite Eight, where they will face Kansas and lose to Kansas. That is my region winner, is the Kansas Jayhawks. Don't really like to say it, but they got plenty of returners from the championship team last year. They added freshman Grady Dick, who's projected to be a top 10 pick. So I'm picking Kansas.
Yeah, I have Kansas too. So yeah, same Final Four. We don't love that. We kind of hate that.
We don't love that. We hate it, but
who you got? Bama, Kansas first, or Bama,
no,
Duke
Bama,
first
Duke.
round. Who you got?
I'm picking Bama. They just got too many shot makers everywhere. I really don't think there's a true matchup for them for Brandon Miller, and I think that's the difference there. And I think Alabama's able to get that one done.
Yeah, I'm picking Bama too. Even picking against tournament experience, never good.
I know it's sketch,
but I'm gonna take Bama too. I think Duke's run, Duke's above what their expected run ends at the Final Four. Texas.
And I'm thinking we're about to have the same championship game here too, because
Texas.
I don't know about you. I'm picking Kansas though.
I don't think Texas can beat them again.
We talked 3 times in a row.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
Self's too good for that, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't trust that.
Honestly, other thing, huge contingent is Bill Self's health. If he cannot coach a lot of this tournament,
they're probably
screwed. So I hate Kansas. Kansas is my
This is the biggest Kansas hater right here.
Yeah, biggest college basketball hate team is Kansas, 100%. It absolutely kills me to pick them, but they've been good, and they've had too good of a team, have too good of a season, have too much experience with too good of a coach. Bama, Kansas.
Is that your pick then? Kansas winning it all again?
Kansas. I am.
What?
I hate it too. Like back-to-back champions never happens. It's just so much never happened, but I had it's just where it came.
I'm having them pull in the reverse UNC from a couple years ago, where they lose to Villanova and then win the championship the next year. They won championship last year, so they're going to lose it this year. Alabama is my pick for the national champion. Yeah, I mean it's tough. I'm not very confident in that pick. I will admit that, but they have just shown me so much.
In any pick at all.
I'm not confident in any pick. I'll just throw it out there. I'm really not. This tournament's giving me really, really weird vibes. And like I said when we started this segment, it's been a headache to fill out the bracket. It really has. Trying to figure out who the hell is going to go and who the hell's actually going to show up. A lot of these teams' issue is consistency. So what team is showing up with half of these teams? So I don't know. I just rocking with Bama. They're just too high powered everywhere. And I think Brandon Miller is that guy.
Yeah, we like it. We like supplying murderers, winning championships. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. That's it, Hardies and Hardos. Listen to us here when you're watching your first game. You can play us in the background, see how crappy or amazing our picks are. Yeah, thank you for listening. And good.
We got the, what is it? Maryland, West Virginia, I believe, kicks us off. Yep.
And welcome to it. T-minus about 2 hours here in Minnesota, and we'll be madness. So
and it's madness time. All right,
madness time. Hug your friends and family, and we love you.
See you next week for episode 50.